podcasting studios of the School of Communication, Media, and the Arts at Sacred Heart University, this is Digital Citizen. Good day, and welcome to another Digital Citizen podcast. Today at the table, we're taking on contemporary issues and tough topics. I'm your host, Mary Kazmarsky, and joining me today are...
I'm Erin, and my topic is thrifting.
I'm Matt, and my topic is happiness.
And I'm Ella, and my topic is fast fashion.
Digital Citizen is the news division of Professor Gregory Golda's Media and Democracy class here at Sacred Heart University. The focus of today's show is to respond to a video first published in 2007 called The Story of Stuff. The correspondents and I will have a little chat about the video's history and accuracy, and then we've all been asked to dig deeper on one of the issues that the video raised. So for my topic, I fact-checked the quote from the video that said the average US person now consumes twice as much as they did 50 years ago. This is true, and this amount just keeps going up by the year because there's that stigma that you have to buy everything that's new and the trends and keep up with everyone else around you, and people buy things just to buy them at this point. Erin?
I fact-checked the quote, "Ask your grandma. In her day, stewardship and resourcefulness and thrift were valued." After fact-checking this, I found that this is mostly true. Right away, the idea of thrifting stuck out to me, but thrift was not valued until around the 2000s.
I actually fact-checked this quote that said, in the U.S., happiness peaked in the 1950s. So I went on the website. The book that the website for the video that they had cited, I was not able to get, so I had to do a little bit of deeper diving, and I was able to find a few different articles and a few different news sites that had said the quote was true, there's real ways of measuring this, and that in the post-World War II era, it's widely regarded as the time that happiness has peaked in the U.S.
That's crazy. Okay, my topic was fast fashion, but the quote from the video is they compared the thickness and high heel sizes and what's trending at the time. So they showed a commercial of a thicker heel and then switched to a thinner heel, and the people went out and bought the thick heel because it was what's on the commercials, what was produced, and then all of a sudden they get home and the marketing switches to the thin heel, and now people have to go out and buy something new. And I actually found this to be very true. All of the designer fashion companies will come out with fashion shows, and then the marketing for the fast fashion kind of models these. And once it's marketed, people go out, buy these trends, and then once they sell out of whatever they've created, or they feel like the trend has gone on for a 2 to 3 week period, they switch it to a different trend or something else from those fashion shows and kind of take from the designer brands to create something new. It's really cool how the whole process works, but it's so fast and production is so fast that a lot of the stuff goes to waste, especially things that go out of style really quickly.
Yeah, that kind of relates to what I looked at when I dug a little bit deeper into the way that we consume things. And basically, consumers are so pleasure-seeking, and buying things gives us so much pleasure and a little bit of a dopamine rush that we just keep buying things, even if we don't necessarily need them. And advertisers use two techniques to make us do this, which are planned and perceived obsolescence. And planned is basically when they make things so that they don't work long enough so that you have to continue to buy them over and over again. And then perceived is the opposite, where we convince ourselves that we need new things. So it's like with iPhones that you want the new one because there's a new color or a new camera, even though your phone works fine and there's very little difference between yours and the new one. Same thing with cars, when you want the new car that has a backup camera and Apple CarPlay and all that kind of stuff. People just think that they need those things when they don't, and then so they buy and they buy and they buy.
Yeah, so that kind of also relates to the topic of thrifting because it's such a big trend right now. Everyone wants to do it since all their friends are doing it. And thrifting was created so mass production of clothes could be reused instead of thrown away. So this is obviously great for the environment. But at first, it was considered embarrassing because it was for the lower class. We also know that today, social media has such a big impact on fashion. And with social media and fashion becoming such large parts of society, thrifting has become a trend for everybody. There are even online thrift stores which influencers will have partnerships with. I know ThredUp is one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
I also feel with thrifting, for the fast fashion industry, when trends go out of style, a lot of times they come back in years later. Mm-hmm. So you can go to a thrift store and pick up an older trend like say it's thin heel season, but you go to the thrift store and there's a thick heel. Magically, now
Wow.
you're in style for when it comes back around.
Yeah. And also, thrifting, as good as it is for the environment, it's also become a little bit of a problem because it's been like gentrified. So middle class, higher class people have kind of taken over thrifting. So these lower class people who live off of thrifting can no longer do so because the prices of thrifting has gone up like drastically, especially in the past few years. Like if you go thrifting in New York City, like
I was just gonna say,
there's like
it's
nothing
crazy.
under like $50. Like it's crazy.
You gotta stick to the cheaper thrift stores. But I mean, ultimately, all this really does relate to what I had sort of talked about with that happiness peaked a long time ago, because you think about it, no one's going to be happy if they have to keep buying stuff, if they're, they feel forced into participating in trends, if they're throwing away their clothes because they're deteriorating faster. And, you might not think that all of this relates to how happy people are, but, all this, plays a part in how they're, just their overall happiness on a day-to-day level.
Yeah, I definitely feel like this all kind of correlates. Like the fast fashion lifeline it's like a life cycle. So obviously designers create stuff. Then people like fast fashion companies like H&M, Zara, Forever 21, just to name like a few, they see these trends, they copy them, then they create stuff that's easily accessible, cheaper. People go out, buy these because they see it, like it's trending. Then a new trend comes out in the designer world. These companies copy it again and just like produce. And it ends up being like only 2 to 3 weeks that something's in style, which is insane. Yeah. I mean, like, especially for my bank account. I'm not trying to keep up with the trends. I also have seen a little bit kind of going off the thrifting thing. People have been doing capsule wardrobes lately. And that's kind of like taking the basics from throughout the years, what's like been basic, and kind of adding it into your wardrobe and then only buying a few trendy items. So I do think that the whole fast fashion thing is coming to light a little bit more. And that's kind of making people lean towards things like thrifting, and they're realizing how much they're consuming. And they don't want to like just keep being a consumer because it's making it hard to stay happy when you're trying to keep up with what's in, and like your whole social status revolves around a piece of clothing. So I think that that's really interesting. Also, like the companies that are like Gucci and like Louis Vuitton, Saint Laurent, Balenciaga, they come out with these fashion shows like yearly, and they kind of set the stage for what's going to be in fast fashion. The Pantone color of the year is very Perry. So all this purple stuff that's going to come out for the spring is all because of that. And Gucci did purple. And so then these other companies like Zara and Forever 21 will mass produce purple stuff until purple gets old. And then they switch to a new color like green. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I
also
agree.
sorry. That's also crazy to think about. Also, like the websites like Shein and like Zaful, they're selling these clothes for like $3. So everyone's like, oh my god, I have to get like 18 of this scarf that I tie around and pretend it's a shirt. And then like 2 months later, it's not even popular. So then you throw it out.
It also makes you wonder who's producing that stuff that it's that cheap.
Yeah.
And they rip in a day.
I know.
Exactly.
Well, it doesn't matter because the lifespan of the trend is only 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's better that it rips in a day.
So you wear it one time and you post an Insta pic and you're
That's it.
set. And then all of a sudden it's old and you're like, oh, you're still wearing that? I don't wear that anymore.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. And thank you, everyone, for listening to our Digital Citizen podcast on the story of stuff. We hope you enjoyed it and will join us again soon. From the podcasting studios in the School of Communication, Media, and the Arts at Sacred Heart University, this is Mary Kazmersky. From all of us at Digital Citizens, roll Pios.